Welcome back to the program, everyone, and welcome to episode 5. Now, this is an introduction to the select statement. Now, in episode 4, we learned all about how to get data into and out of tables using the insert, update, and delete functions. The select statement, then, is all about being able to read that data in a specific manner that we need to view that data with. Now, it forms the backbone of pretty much all of the SQL development coding going forward. So as you can see, I've divided the episode up into 10 different parts because the select statement really does form the foundation of all SQL development going forwards. The remainder of the episodes in the program itself all center around the select statement, how to write it in different ways and get different things from it. So it's vitally important that we get to grips with everything to do with the statement, starting off with a basic understanding and introduction of the syntax itself. We're going to be restoring a database backup in order for us to get some data to work with in the first video. So I'll be showing you how to go about doing that. We'll then have a quick look at a database diagram. We're going to build one using the database we've just restored, and that'll give you a sort of an idea of what a database actually looks like. We'll then move on to the select statement itself. We'll cover the very basics, the fundamentals, build a little bit up from then, and we'll have plenty of examples for you to get your head around and try before we move on to the next part. Right then, let's head on in to the SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so I've got a little script here to get the lesson started. But first of all, what we need to do is we need to start bringing in some more data to play with. Now, fortunately, Microsoft has provided us with a nice little database that we can download for free, back up into our SQL Server Management Studio, and we can play around to our heart's content. This is called Wide World Importers, and in order to get it into SQL, we first have to download it from the Microsoft website. So, fire up any web browser. Any web browser will do. Again, I've got Chrome here, and what you're looking for is Wide World Importers Sample Database. Type that up, hit the search, and you'll see quite a few options on this page. So there are a variety of ways to get to download this sample database. One of the easiest I've found is to go to Wide World Importers on GitHub. Let's click on that. It'll take us into GitHub itself. And once we're in, you'll see quite a few pages open to us. Scroll on down, there'll be a little bit of information on the sample databases, and we'll have the latest release over here. Simply click on Wide World Importers Release. In we go. It'll take us to the next page where we'll have a variety of sample databases to download. You'll see this top one here. This is the one we're after. It's just a simple relational database set of data that we can download and play around with to our heart's content. So click on that, the .back file, and it'll start to download. Now there's different ways of backing up and then restoring databases. One is using MDF and LDF files. However, this is a .back file which is just short for backup. It should be pretty quick as well. It's just a tiny little database, but it's got plenty of data for us to look into. Once it's finished downloading, what we need to do is find out where it's stored, because we're going to need to move that file to somewhere more accessible. So let's click on that up arrow and show in folder. If you're using another browser, make sure you go to where this is stored on your hard drive, where it's downloaded, and just open it up, and there you'll see Wide World Import is full. I'm going to cut that and I'm going to paste it directly into the C drive. Leave out all the folders, and there you have it directly there. So it's really easy to find now. And we'll head back in to SQL Server Management Studio, and I shall show you how to restore a backed up database. So let's head over to the Object Explorer. Where it says databases here, just simply right click on that and go down to restore database. Now there are two options, attach and restore. Attach is to attach the MDF and the LDF type of files, which is the main data file and log data files. What we have is a back as we download it, and those you need to restore. So we're going to restore the database we just downloaded. Click on that and you'll be presented with the screen here. So hit the radio button for device, because the backup is stored on one of our devices, one of our hard drives. Click on that and you'll see the three little ellipses here. Click on those, and what we then need to do, make sure it's on file as opposed to URL, because we downloaded the file itself. Go across to add and click on the button there. Head across, locate your file, we put it straight into the C drive, so it should be somewhere in there. So let's have a look. It's back TRN or log file, so that's what we're looking for. Click on C and there you have it sitting right there. So that's one we want to restore. Make sure it's highlighted or double click, simply click OK, and you'll see it appear in here, backup media. Click on OK and you'll see it pops up here. So we want to do a full type. Make sure this is ticked because we want to restore it. There's the name of the database that will restore. Bit of information for you there. Full database backup, and simply hit OK. Now it'll go through the progress. You see the bar at the top working its way, extracting the backup, putting into our SQL Server instance, and we're just going to wait until it finishes. And when it does, we should see the success message from SSMS telling us that it's been restored successfully. Click on OK, the wizard will close down, and you'll see Wide World Importers is now there as one of our databases. If that doesn't show for whatever reason, and it did report success, just simply head up to databases, hit F5 or click on refresh, and it should show from there. So let's have a very quick look at Wide World Importers itself. There you can see underneath you've got all the tables, views, all the different objects, programmability, you've got stored procedures, etc. Let's have a look at those tables, and there you can see quite a few tables listed in there, plenty of data, plenty of tables for us to play with. Don't worry too much about the different types. As you can see, there's a different icon to this one here, which is system versions. Both tables we'll be able to extract from and work with without any issues or problems. Now if we click onto our script, you'll see up at the top it's still on the master database. So in order to work with worldwide importers, we of course need to use the database or use the drop down here. I'm going to execute that, highlight it, and we're now working in Wide World Importers. Fantastic stuff. Now, before we crack on with the select statement itself, I just wanted to show you what the database looks like in a diagrammatical format. So we've now got this database in the SQL Server instance now, Wide World Importers. Now let's see what it actually looks like. So head on up on database diagrams, right click on that, hit new database diagram. Now if you have just installed SQL Server and you've never selected or created a database diagram, you may not have seen this pop up straight away. Instead, you may have got a message saying that the database does not have one or more of the support objects required to use database diagramming, and it also asks you if you want to create them. Simply click on yes and you'll proceed to this screen here. Now you can use Control to select individual ones, or you can press Shift and select them all, just like you do in normal Windows applications. Now if you were to select every single one, then there'll be loads of tables on the screen and it might get a bit confusing. So what we're going to do is just select a few tables and have a look at those. So we're going to go for orders, order lines, and we'll go for customer sales. Now you can take any one of these tables, open them up in the diagram and have a look. We're going to go for these three. Once you've selected the tables, simply go down, click on Add. Now the tables will start to appear as diagrams in the screen, and this window will stay open in case you wanted to put more tables into the diagram itself. We're happy with those three. Let's go down and let's close that window. So there you have your tables shown in a diagrammatical format. We're just going to move it along. Click and hold on the top just to move them along so we can see what's going on a little bit better. There you go. There you have it, our three tables. That's what they look like as a diagram. Now you'll notice that these sort of links between the tables, those are known as relationships, and this is the Wide World Importers database is a relational database. So it's all about having tables which are related to each other. Now these are pretty much like individual spreadsheets in Excel, where you've got all your headers there and they're linked somehow. So how do those links work? We'll be discussing the keys and how to build those relationships in a later episode within the program, but suffice to say, if we hover over that link there, the relationship description there, it has customer ID in it. So what this link will be doing then is linking customer ID in this table to the customer ID in the sales table. So we know that those two are related. So whenever there's an order, you'd assign it a customer ID, and the customer ID would be in this table here. If we look at this link here, you can see it's order ID. Here's our order ID, and it links to the order ID there. Really simple, really straightforward. There's some self-referencing joins here, some relationships, and we'll be looking at those again in the future episode when we discuss keys. Right, we're going to be using this diagram going forward in that episode, so let's go ahead and save this diagram. We're just going to keep it as diagram 0 for now. We're not going to create any more. So then hit OK. Notice that the little star up there has disappeared to mean that it's saved. And we've got our database diagram. Let's refresh there. You see a little plus pops up. Yours may already be there. And there's our diagram ready to go. So Now that we've got that saved, let's close that down and let's crack on into the lesson itself. So the most commonly used and the most common way of using the select statement is simply by typing out select and then star. The star means literally everything in the table, all the columns, all the rows, and then we type in from, and that is to say I want to select everything from this particular table. So we write out the schema, the full stop, and we specify the table itself. So what this is going to do, if we run it, is select everything from that table. Let's execute that quickly. Let's bring the results up a bit further. As you can see, we've got loads of columns, all the columns in there, and we've got all the rows all the way down to the value here on the bottom right, 231,412 rows. Now it's good to keep an eye on the rows that are returned, because when you come to actually checking your work, checking data that's returned, sometimes the amount of rows displayed here is a giveaway whether your query is working correctly or not. Sometimes if you get too few rows or too many rows than what you're sort of expecting, that can be a good indication that your select statement has gone a bit wrong. But here we're just simply selecting everything from the table. As you can see, plenty of columns of different types. You've got text in there, you've got integers in there, you've got some decimals, some date times, etc. So plenty for us to look at in that. So that is just your select star. Now if we only wanted to select a certain amount of rows from the table, what we can do is we can use the top command. If I wanted to say just the top 100 rows from this table, you type it out like so, and let's see what happens. Execute, and as you can see in the bottom right, it's just 100 rows. Now if you remember, when we did that little trick in the tools there for the control 3, we just simply typed out this bit of code here. So this is doing exactly the same thing as that bit of code in the control 3. Now I know it was quite a while ago that we looked at the control 3 key and the functionality, so I'll just show it to you once again so you can see how it all fits in with what we're trying to achieve here. So we're heading back up to tools, down to options there, and if you remember, under keyboard we had query shortcuts, and we pretty much typed out under control 3 select top 100 star from, and as you can see, that's exactly the same as what we've typed here. Now as you can see, there's quite a few hotkeys that are already set up, and there's many more blanks, so it doesn't really matter which one you put it under. I've just gone for control 3 because a lot of people seem to use that as the hotkey for doing just this sort of thing. So that's where it is again, in tools, query shortcuts. We'll click cancel on there. Okay, cancel, we haven't made any changes. So all that's doing is it'll write this line here, it'll execute it. So all you need to do is either run this query here to get your 100 rows, or you can simply highlight the table and schema that you want to select the top 100 rows from and press Ctrl 3, and that effectively just executes the same bit of code, and that's it. Pure and simple, really easy way to do your order lines or select the top 100 rows if you want to see what the data looks like. So that will select the top 100. Now it'll literally just take the top 100 rows as they are stored in the file itself, in this table itself. So it won't put them in any order, it'll just say these are the first 100 as they're stored in the table, and we're going to select those. Let's comment that back out. Now there is a way that we can filter the amount of rows or filter the select statement based on certain criteria. I'll comment that out, and that is using the where clause. So what you're saying with the where clause is show me everything in my select statement, however I need it filtered by a specific column equating to a specific value. So for example, in this case, if we have a quick look at the sales order lines table, we can see the description column here has a whole load of different descriptions, and the top one is 32mm double-sided bubble wrap. So what we're saying here is return all the order lines in this table where the description is equal to this string here, this value. So let's have a look at that. Execute. As you can see, the description here, it's all 32mm double-sided bubble wrap, 1004 rows, and if we scroll all the way down, you see the description never changes. So it will not return anything outside of that description. So that's one way that you can filter your results. And normally when you're selecting everything from a specific table, it could take a few seconds to return the data. As soon as you put in a where clause, that basically cuts the data down that's needed to be returned, and it will speed up your query. So, however, what we can also do is that we can order the return data set using the order by clause as shown here. Now all the order by does is it simply puts it in a specific order for us to view. Now according to a SQL Server, it knows where the data is and how to access it, so it doesn't need the data to be ordered by in any order in order to extract data. So the order by clause is only really used for us humans to be able to view the data in some sort of logical order. It is slightly resource hungry, so when you do use an order by clause, expect your query to take a little bit longer than normal to actually churn out the data. Let's have a go at that. Now you see the order ID starts at 45 and it starts creeping up all the way down to the bottom, up and up and up, and here's your maximum value. So it's sorted it by the order ID. Now what if we wanted to see the greatest order ID first and the least order ID last? We simply put this command DESC, short for descending, at the end of order ID. So let's have a look at that. As you can see here, the first row, order ID is the highest, and they get less and less and less and less as we scroll down all the way to the lowest order ID there. So you can sort ascending or descending. As you can see here, I haven't specified the direction, which is normally ascending. You don't need to type that in, because if you leave it out, SQL Server defaults to ascending. It's only when you put descending in there that will actually order it descending. Otherwise, it will automatically do it ascending. And that's pretty much it. So that in a nutshell, is the basic select statement for you. Simply put, select everything, which is the star, from a table. You can then specify some sort of filter on it to only return values where a column equates to a specific value, and you can also order the results. If, for example, you wanted to copy and paste those results to Excel, you can put them in an order sorted by, and it just makes it easier for us to see. That's it pretty much for the select statement. In the next video we're going to be looking at joins, and we will be expanding on the select statement itself. But before we go ahead with the next video, why don't we have a look at some questions to really get the select statement embedded in your mind. So I've put together a few examples for us to look at, to go through, and we'll see how you go in the next video. So simply fire up a new query if you need to write code, and follow along while we go through these examples. So first of all, number one, product development team have been given the character building job of cleaning the product data in the system. After much deliberation, tears and stamping of feet, it has been agreed they only need to do the data cleanse for products from Litware Incorporated that has a supplier ID of 7. You've been asked to provide them with all the data from the stock items table, so you need to write a query to pull this data. They've also asked if you can sort the results alphabetically by the stock item name, as they have conveniently forgotten how to do this in Excel. So what we need to do, because they've asked for everything in one of these areas, we know that it's going to be a select star from. Now, which table? Fortunately, they've provided us with the table name here, the stock items table, so we know where it's coming from. So all we need to do then is have a look in our database here, Wide World Importers, and have a look down the tables, check them out till we get to the stock items. Let's move this across slightly, and there you can see stock items. Now there's various stock items tables that you can see here, but they've specifically asked for this one here, stock items, so we know which table we need to pull the data from, which is great. So you need to write a query to pull all the data. So straight away you know that you've got to select star from this table here. So you can write that out pretty quickly and pretty easily. Now, however, they've thrown in a bit of a curveball. As you can see, they've asked for us to only give us data for a supplier ID of 7, but we're not too sure what this table looks like. So what we can do is head across to the Object Explorer here, right click on the table that we want to look at, and simply select top 1000 rows. Now this will give us another good look at the table itself, so you can see all the columns and you can see all the data. Although we selected top 1000, it's only got 227 rows in the table in total, so quite a small table really. And as you can see here, there's a column with a supplier ID and a number in it. So as you can see, it changes as we scroll down, so we just want the supplier ID of 7. So that tells me that there's going to be a cheeky where clause in there. So we've got to construct that as well. Now, when you're constructing your select star statement, another quick and easy way to pull the table from here into your query editor is simply click and hold and drag it across, and there you go. It pulls across both the schema and the table name itself. So really quick and easy way to write your select statements. So then, we now know how to write a select star from statement. We know the table that we're going to use, so we can put in there, and we also know what we need to do in our where clause, supplier ID of 7. So, think you can crack on with that? If you struggle at all, just have a look at the start of the video when we look through the select statement itself, where to put all the various clauses like the where clause, etc. And at the end of it all, they do want the results sorted alphabetically by the stock item name. Let's have a look at that table again. Right click, select top 1000 rows, and there you have the stock item name. So these are 2 columns that we're going to be working with. However, we need to select everything, so that will be the select star. Okay then, pretty straightforward. Let's see you have a go at that, and we'll then move on to question number 2. In the latest management meeting, the warehouse manager has mentioned that they are running out of space from all the boxes of USB food, flash drive, banana style. These are being stacked up like mad. It would appear that the specific items are being bought in from the supplier faster than they're actually being sold out to our customers. After giving the marketing manager a look that would stop a charging rhino in its tracks, the sales director fires an email at you requesting all the invoice line data for this specific item. So we haven't been specifically asked what table to use. However, as you can see, he's asked for invoice line data. So what you need to do is go back to your Object Explorer and find a table that kind of works along the lines of what's being asked for. Once you've found that table in your list around here, give it a right click, have a quick look, top 1000 rows, and see what the data looks like. And that'll be the table that you'll be selecting everything from. And as well as that, there's a cheeky filter in there that you need to use for just this item alone. So that needs to go somewhere in your query in order to filter out the data being requested. Now that is a string, as you can see, so don't forget when you're putting it into a query, you must put these little single inverted commas up here to denote that it's a string. Again, if you are struggling, just check back throughout the video where we start looking at constructing the select statement and give that one a go. Question number 3 then. Someone clearly did something right this year and the company actually made a profit. Amazing. Due to this amazing success, the CEO has decided that all employees are due an annual bonus. Probably the first one ever. Expect an extra $100, now that's before tax, in your December paycheck. Unfortunately, the HR systems are down and payroll need to get the bonus payments out as soon as they can. So you have been tasked to send them a full extract of the people table in the database. So straight away we know the table to extract from. However, you need to ensure you select employees only. So there you have some sort of filter that you need to look into. Otherwise, all the customers will be getting a Christmas bonus as well, which wouldn't be good for the company. Well, the company's finances anyway. I'm sure the customers will be very, very happy. Right, have a go at those 3 statements, those select statements, write them out, and we will go over the answers at the start of the next video. So that is merely the briefest introduction to the select statement itself. We're going to build on things in the next videos, so please join me in part 2, where we start to look at joins and all the fun and games along with those. Until then, everyone, I hope you all have a fantastic day.